Well, hello everybody. This is Mark Vines and welcome to the Mark Vines Show. This is the 4th of July 2020 edition of the Mark Vines Show. And if you have not done so already, I encourage you to go to the Mark Vines Facebook site. Take a look at that. Give us a like, give us a follow. And also, whatever platform you're listening on, please go ahead and follow me on that as well. And give me a like. That helps me with the ratings, and that way I can continue to provide this service to you. Because as you know, I do look at this broadcast as a service to the community, to mankind, if you will. Because, folks, look around. If you are not concerned with what you are seeing, then I don't know what's going on with you. You need to take a look out here in society and just look at the anger, look at the rage, look at all of the issues that are going on in America today. And I hope that you are concerned and that you are motivated to do something about this, because I know that I certainly am. You know, folks, we're about 5 months out from the election. And if this is not an election that you are motivated to participate in, I don't know what it's going to take to get you motivated, but you need to be. Now, in my background, I have a bachelor's degree in political science, so I understand that I'm much more motivated, much more connected, and have my ear to the ground than most people when it comes to the politics in this country. But, you know, I'm very concerned because in the general election, notoriously in the United States, we have a very low turnout. When you look at the entire population of the United States, it's pretty low. And then when you get in those off-year elections, it's abysmal. For example, about a week or two ago, we had a primary election here in Virginia, and I think I heard 1% or less of registered Republicans participated in that particular election. And this was an election to nominate people for various seats that they're running for in November, but the two biggies, Congress and Senate. You know, Mark Warner's Senate seat is up for grabs here in November, and the Virginian Republicans just nominated a guy named Gabe, G-A-B-E, Gabe, to run against Mark Warner. And again, it was about 1% or less of the total registered Republicans that participated in that election. Folks, that's pathetic. We got to do better than that. We've got to do better than that. Those of you that live in the Northern Virginia area know that this is a deep blue, and I mean deep blue part of the state. Virginia, contrary to popular opinion, is actually a fairly conservative state when you get outside of Northern Virginia, that being the D.C. suburbs. It's fairly conservative. Problem is, it's very heavily populated up here. And as a result, the elections always go to the Democrats. But I went to a Republican meeting here, a Fairfax County Republican meeting, and we were looking at the numbers and looking at the stats, and the fact is that if every registered Republican showed up on Election Day, this would turn back over to the Republicans. The problem is that we just can't get people to show up on Election Day. You need to, in November, on Election Day, get your butt out of bed, go and vote. There are no excuses for this. I don't want to hear... I don't like Trump. I don't like his tweets. He's an angry person. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Folks, look at what's going on in the country. Look at what's going on with the choices that you have, and you need to show up. Now, the reason why you need to show up is I need you to look at the anger. I need you to look at the insanity. I need you to look at how disturbed the far left is in this country, and understand that if you do not show up on Election Day, these are the people that are going to be making the decisions for you. Now, let me talk about how these people think of you. Now, I'm just going to give you a couple of examples, and I mean examples that are close to me. Now, every single person in my audience knows somebody like this in their family or in their close circle of friends or at work, but I'm just going to give you a couple of examples. But I could go on for hours. I could do shows telling you about people that feel the same way as the people that I'm going to describe to you here. And just understand that they are voting. They have the same vote that you do, and they go out and they elect people, and that's how you get Ocasio-Cortez and some of the other loons that we have in Congress. And if you think that these people are not going to be controlling Joe Biden after the election, you are just as nuts as they are, all right? They are going to be controlling Joe Biden, and you don't want that because Joe Biden is not going to be making any decisions on his own. Now, a couple of examples I want to show you. The first one is I have somebody that's in my circle, let's just say that, a young person, and apparently this young woman belongs to a very liberal family, and she was responding to another friend of hers that posted something about Tucker Carlson. Now, this other young lady tends to be fairly conservative, and Tucker Carlson said something that she appreciated, and she just put that out on Instagram and just put it out as her political view. Now, the other girl's mother was very upset about this and had her own daughter go out on Instagram and post the following. And it was a caption that said this. And it said, "At anyone that listens to a damn word that effing moron Tucker Carlson says, exclamation mark, you all are effing unbelievable. The ignorance, I can smell it on your hot ass breath from here, child. Just smile politely, y'all. We're witnessing mental illness." Now, that's what they think of you. They think that you're mentally ill. They are violent. They are condescending. They are profane. And they want to beat down any opposing thought. Have you noticed that with the liberals in this country right now? Have you noticed that? You cannot have a rational discussion with these people. You cannot have a rational discussion with these people. There is no dissent. There's no other view. And you're not allowed to do that. Now, I'm going to point out that in my career, I spent 8 years under Bill Clinton. 8 years while I was in the Navy back in those days. And then the first couple of years as a police officer. I also spent 8 years, as all of us did, under Barack Obama. Now, I could not stand either one of those men. I agreed with almost nothing that came out of their mouths. I didn't like any policies that they had. But not once did it ever occur to me that I should shout down, beat up, or berate anyone that was a supporter of either one of those individuals. And the fact is, I don't know of any conservative in my world that would have done the same. If you wanted to put an Obama sticker on your car or a Clinton sticker on your car, or if you went to the gym and you were wearing an Obama shirt, that was fine. I didn't agree with it. I didn't like it. But it would have never occurred to me to go up to you and say anything to your face. I would have never keyed your car. I would have never beaten you up. I would have never done any of those things. Okay? But yet liberals seem to thrive on that. And, you know, it's just, what a difference in personalities between liberals and conservatives. When I voted a couple of weeks ago, I went to the Republican primary, and when I went into the voting booth, I had someone, when I came out, I was actually wearing a Trump hat. I actually had a woman come up to me and ask me if I feared for my safety. Feared for my safety because I was wearing a Trump hat. Now just imagine that. And imagine, reverse the roles. And think that if somebody wearing an Obama hat feared for their safety, or they had their car keyed or vandalized, imagine, we would hear about it. I mean, it would go viral on the internet. You know that, and I know that. But yet conservatives are expected to suck it up. And we will suck it up. And I will suck it up. Because just like at a sporting event, you know, you can say whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter if you pass for 1,000 yards. The fact is, you can pass for 1,000 yards, but if you don't have enough points at the end of the day, at the end of the game, you did not win the game. And that's what we have going on right now with this election. Guys, they have the platform. They're doing the screaming. They are doing the tearing down. They are the ones burning everything to the ground. They are burning your country and my country to the ground. But at the end of the day, what matters is who gets the most votes and who wins the election. I had another person close to me in my close circle that I happened to text an article about the Attorney General, Bill Barr, expanding the scope or announcing that there was an expansion of the scope of the investigation into the origins of the Russian investigation. That's all it was, a news report that anybody could see. And this person that was close to me had an absolute meltdown over this. And the response I got was, don't send me this conspiracy crap. And then it became profanity-laden and a very difficult exchange back and forth. When I didn't put an opinion on it, I didn't say that you need to believe this. All I did was point out that, hey, look at this. There's an expansion into this investigation. It was merely a fact. It's a fact. It's not something that I created. It was not my opinion. It was reported as a fact. And this particular individual just had a meltdown. And they think that all of this, they look at this as just being a conspiracy. Well, folks, let me tell you something. There is no conspiracy here on the conservative side. The conspiracy was leading into the last election and trying to unseat somebody, before they got into office, and then spending over 3.5 years trying to take this person out of office after they got elected. If you want a conspiracy, there you go. And I'm telling you something. You watch. Give this some time, and you are going to be blown away by what you see and what is uncovered in these investigations. You're going to think it's make-believe, but the scary part is that it's real. And the fact that people can't handle this, and the fact that this is always going to be looked at as being a conspiracy, is disturbing to me. You know, this has happened before in world history, when people were beaten down and books were burned and people were beaten down for their views. And you can pick points in history, whether it was the Second World War, the First World War, or other points in history, and look at what happened to those countries and look at what happened to people and how people were unduly punished and just berated for their particular beliefs, whether it was religious, political, or otherwise. That's where we're headed in this country. And if you like where we are right now, if you like what you're seeing, then go ahead and vote for the Democrats in November. But I, for one, will not, because I see how we are treated by speaking up our minds and trying to speak the facts. And then you're beaten down and just berated for your particular viewpoints, and they make it sound like you're crazy. There's a term called gaslighting. And gaslighting is essentially the crazy person acting crazy, but looking at you and telling you that you're the crazy one. That's what's going on right now. We have national gaslighting going on, and we're going to have to do something about it. But please, 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 in November, make sure you're registered and get your butt out of bed and go and vote. You need to vote. Now, if you think that tyranny cannot happen again in this country or in this world, you are wrong about that, and we need to do something about it. Okay, so now, many of you know that, I do a lot of work, a lot of recovery work with people here in the community. And when I started doing this community work, it occurred to me that really everybody needs some sort of recovery. Everybody needs some sort of recovery program. And I'm really starting to think that we as a nation we need to be in recovery and start practicing some of these principles. And I'm going to share with you something out of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, which is really the granddaddy of all books that created a lot of the wellness programs that you're aware of today. And there's a lot of insight in this book that I think applies to us and it applies to the country. And I just want you to listen to this. I want to share this with you, and just let's talk about it a little bit after I read it. And this is page 417 out of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay, and it says this: "And acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some fact of my life unacceptable to me, and I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, thing, or situation as being exactly the way it is supposed to be at this moment. Nothing, absolutely nothing, happens in God's world by mistake. Until I could accept my alcoholism," now in our case here, we're going to be talking about all this anger in the country, "I could not stay sober. Unless I accept life completely on life's terms, I cannot be happy. I need to concentrate not so much on what needs to be changed in the world as on what needs to be changed in me and in my attitudes. Shakespeare said, "All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players." He forgot to mention that I was the chief critic. I was always able to see the flaw in every person, every situation. And I was always glad to point it out, because I knew you wanted perfection just as I did. AA and acceptance have taught me there is a bit of good in the worst of us and a bit of bad in the best of us, that we are all children of God and we each have a right to be here. When I complain about me or about you, I am complaining about God's handiwork. I am saying that I know better than God. For years, I was sure the worst thing that could happen to a nice guy like me would be that I would turn out to be an alcoholic. Today, I find it's the best thing that has ever happened to me. This proves I don't know what's good for me. And if I don't know what's good for me, then I don't know what's good or bad for you or anyone. So I'm better off if I don't give advice, don't figure I know what's best, and just accept life on life's terms, as it is today, especially my own life, as it actually is. Before AA, I judged myself by my intentions, while the world was judging me by my actions. So let's break that down for a minute. So with liberals, what you see is they want you to judge them by their intentions. Meaning if they go around and they talk about peace, and if they go around and they talk about how we all need to come together, and we need to have compassion, and we need to accept everybody for how they are, but then they turn around and burn everything down, and take everything down, and key your car, and punch you, and hit you, and destroy your personal property, that's not acting the way that they are telling you that they intend. We view them by their actions. Your actions are louder than words. And they will not allow you to have your own thoughts. So in this particular passage, it is, you will believe what I believe, or I will beat you into submission. And we cannot have that. We have to have free thought in this country. We have to believe what we want. We have to be able to accept whatever it is that we believe. You know, the fact is, I'm getting a little offended by the fact that you must think that I accept everything that you believe. Now, I can allow you to live peacefully. I can allow you to do whatever you want. I really am libertarian in that regard. If you want same-sex marriage, if you want to be in a relationship with somebody of the same sex or not, or if you want to vote a particular way, or whatever you believe, you have a right to do that as long as you don't harm somebody else in doing so. But it doesn't mean that I hate you. It doesn't mean that I don't accept you as a person, but I don't have to accept that behavior as being good or moral or anything else. I have a right to do that. And I'm getting a little tired of the fact that because I'm of Northern European heritage, that I'm inherently racist, because I'm not. And I'm getting tired of it. And by the way, I've heard it said recently, the fact that if you deny that you're racist and you're coming from European heritage, that's merely proof that the situation's worse than what you thought it was. Meaning, if you don't feel that way, if you don't think that way, that's evidence that you are that way. What kind of idiotic nonsense is that? But folks, that's where we are today. And if you're not scared by that, I don't know what is going to scare you. Because think of this. If we lose this election in November, what is going to happen after that? What is going to happen after that? Just think of what has happened since the middle of March. And really just in the last month or so. We're in July right now, but in the last month or so. How in the world did we go from one criminal act in Minnesota, of which all of the people involved are going to be prosecuted? How did we go from that to burning down cities, tearing down statues? Many statues of people that are icons in the United States, to include Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln, who freed the slaves, and we're tearing his monument down. This is people's personal property, and in some cases, government property. And I'm sitting and I'm watching every department out there allowing that to happen. And it's so disheartening to me. I have spent my entire life either in the military or in law enforcement. And I'm watching all of my brothers and sisters in law enforcement allow this to happen. And if they can tear up government property and other people's property, what in the world are they going to do to you? I'm not trying to alarm you. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just pointing out that we have to right this course. We have to fix this. And we have to be in a position where we have people in charge that allow people to be themselves and to think what they want to think. That's why I read you that passage out of the big book, okay? We have to have people that will accept you for the way that you are and the way that you want to think and allow you to think that way as long as you are not harming other people. That's what this country is all about. And it's scary to me that I must conform or else I'll be gaslighted and labeled or worse, beaten up or in some cases killed, because we do see that happening around the country. Folks, I hope this is a wake-up call for you, and I hope and pray that you act in November and motivate everybody out there that you know to vote. Because if you think it's bad now, we have about 5 months to go, and my prediction is, this is going to get worse, not better, between now and November. It's going to go to insane levels. But this is not the time to sit out. I know a lot of people that come to me and they talk to me about their opinions about politics. And everybody has an opinion. But again, if you do not show up, then your opinion does not really matter. This is not the time. Get out there, vote, get everybody that you know out there to vote, and let's make sure that we do not allow the lunatics, all of these people that need serious anger management counseling, to be in charge. Okay? So with that, folks, I hope you have enjoyed this podcast today. Again, go give me a like on whatever platform you're listening on. Go to the Mark Vines Facebook page, join that, like it, follow it. Folks, really enjoy talking with you, and I hope that this has been helpful for you and educational for you, and let's have a good time. I'm not trying to alarm you, and we're going to keep pressing forward. Let's stay motivated, stay in the fight, and I will be talking with you soon.